Hello, this is Tony Blazer, back with another video for the Motocross Vault. And what this one's going to be is a little bit of my quick kind of recap takeaways of Anaheim 1, the first race of the year. Last night we had an amazing race, a great finish in my opinion, certainly at least for me, an unexpected finish. Great night of racing in general. I didn't love the track particularly. I didn't think it was that excellent for racing early on, but as the night kind of got a little bit colder and the kind of moisture came up, the track became a little more I guess technical and treacherous. Ended up causing some mistakes and kind of mixed the results up a little bit more. Wasn't my favorite track, like I said, but it was decent and ended up having a nice night of racing in spite of the fact that I thought the track was fairly mediocre. My takeaways in the night, I think my biggest surprise was certainly Justin Barcia. I am not a Justin Barcia lover, not a hater, just kind of agnostic on Barcia. I think he does some boneheaded maneuvers sometimes, and then other times he's pretty damn fun to watch. This last couple of years in the Yamaha, though, I really enjoyed watching him kind of revitalize his career, and I did not have him, though, as a winner last night. I know he had really good success in some of the overseas races. You see guys all the time that do well overseas in some of the off-season stuff. But that's typically not much of an indicator how they're going to do when the gates drop here in America. If that was the case, Larry Ward would have been a multi-time Supercross champ. But Barcia, I mean, he came out guns blazing, got a good start, made quick passes to the front, and really, he probably would have walked away with it or anything. AC was keeping him honest. I don't know that he would have made the pass on him if he hadn't made that mistake. But he did make the mistake, let Adam by. Then Adam paid him back a couple laps later by making a mistake of his own. At that point, Barcia just put his head down and rode it into the victory. Great race for him. Great race for Yamaha. Yamaha always takes a lot of heat for their 450s in particular. They haven't looked great other than a race here and there on the things, and I think it's pretty impressive that they went out there and took the win. I didn't see it. If you watch my pre-race video, I thought it would probably be Kenny's night to win. Barcia wasn't even in my top 5 picks. So there you go. It's super surprising. In second, you had Adam Cianciarillo. Super pumped for that kid. I love Adam. He's got a great attitude. I had a lot of hopes that he would do well. I think most of us did. It's hard not to like the kid. He's got such a great attitude. But it's hard to move up to the 450s, and it's not like he hasn't been prone to crashes in the past, but he had an amazing night. He had the speed to win. I think if he hadn't have screwed that up, I don't think Barcia's getting back by him. If he hadn't hit that little triple wrong and almost ate crap there, it's pretty amazing. That was a nice save too, by the way. And it was smart of him to keep his cool, didn't override the bike and try to go crazy passing Barcia back, just rode it in for second. Great race for both of them. I think it signals that some of these guys have to worry about Adam. I don't know how many people really thought he was going to be a serious threat. I mean, he won Monster Cup, but again, that's like those off-season races. I don't think you can put too much stock in Monster Cup. History has shown it's kind of an outlier. But to see that he is capable of running the pace and winning, especially coming right out at the beginning here, I think you have to kind of put him up a notch there and say he might be a legitimate threat for a title. It'd be cool to see 3 first-time winners in 3 years. I don't think we've seen anything like that since the 1980s. So I think that bodes well for the series going forward. Cooper Webb's another guy who impressed me yesterday. He was apparently ill and off the pace in practice badly, which he was at several races last year. He just didn't seem to have it early on, but when the bullshit stops and the gates drops, he was there. Got a good start, ran up front, withheld pressure from behind, and took a third, which is damn impressive on a night where you're not feeling it. They always say that your championships are won on your off days, and if your off day is a third, that's championship material. He beat all the guys that you would have thought would have been his threats for the title. People like Jason Anderson and Eli Tomac, Ken Roxon, they're all behind him. So unless Barcia or Adam starts reeling off wins here, he beat all the people he needs to beat to secure his second title. So it's first race. Again, I always say, again, another kind of a thing people say is you can't win the title in the first race, you can sure lose it. And this could have been a real bad night for him, but he ended up coming out great. People who impressed me, Blake Baggett, he got a 4th, certainly his best finish of any opener that I can remember. He always seems to have a terrible night, so it's good for the Rocky Mountain KTM team and good for Blake to get the 4th. People that didn't impress me, I was very puzzled with the performance of really Anderson, Roxon, and Tomac. I almost kind of put them all in the same group there. 3 preseason favorites that all just kind of were blah in the main. I mean, Anderson moved the farthest forward. He started, I don't know, it looked like he was about 10th or 9th or something going into the first turn, but he was still in, like, I don't know, 7th or 8th, like the halfway point, and ended up 5th at the end. Certainly not a bad night in terms of points. He got solid points, and if you're going to start winning some races or doing better later, it wouldn't be the kind of thing that would cause you to probably lose the title. But you have to wonder if you don't see that balls out speed. You know, that's the thing you really need to see if you're going to be champion. Typically, getting 5ths and 4ths and 3rds don't do it anymore. It's not like the old days of Jeff Stanton, where you're going to expect that Bradshaw's going to throw it away with a couple of yard sales. If you're going to win, you're going to need to win some races. And I'm still, the jury to me is still out on Anderson, whether he's going to be one of those guys, that guy this year again, like he was 2 years ago. Roxon, it's weird. He ended up getting a 6th place start and ended up in 6th, basically stayed the same place the whole race. I don't know if he's still got some health issues going on. I was hoping maybe they were behind him. Could have been bike setup, or who knows. I mean, there's a million things that go wrong. The first race is always kind of like an outlier, so it's hard to say. I don't want to put too much stock into the finish of any of these guys in the first round, because history has proven that A1, the first round, is not necessarily an indicator of what's going to happen series long, but it is a little concerning that he did not seem to have the speed to run people down. Like I say, just kind of riding around in 6th the whole darn time. Eli, really puzzling. He ended up with an even worse start. He had a worse start than Roxon. I don't know, I think it was like 11th or 12th or so, some at the start. He ended up only making his way up to 7th, which is pretty not great. Apparently, Jason Wygant said he had arm pump issues, which I don't know what caused that. I mean, it's hard to say. We've all had arm pump issues at some point. I think most of us who have ridden. Typically, I got it when I wasn't feeling right. If I was riding tight, the bike wasn't gelling with me that day, or maybe just, having an off day in general. Typically, that would be when I would be holding on too tight and get that arm pump. So maybe he had the bike set up wrong, or who knows, first race nerves. Unfortunately, if Tomac has a physical issue, we probably won't hear about it till like midsummer or something. He'll probably admit it. But in any case, not a great finish for a guy a lot of people think is probably going to win the title. On the other good finishes for the night, I would say I'm impressed with Dean Wilson. The fact that he rode the event at all is impressive. 2 weeks back on the bike after separating his hip. I need a hip replacement. I have hip problems. It's very unpleasant to ride. I can barely ride, and when I do, I can barely walk for 2 days. So I can't imagine dislocating it and then having to go out and do Supercross, 2 months later. It's damn impressive. And he actually ended up beating Zach Osborne, who, a guy a lot of people thought might be kind of a sleeper title pick. I don't know what happened with Zach. I know he had an off-the-track incident in his heat, but I'm not sure what happened in the main. If you're not actually there at the event, you're kind of stuck watching whatever's on screen, but disappointing finish for sure for him. I'm impressed by Chad Reed getting his 250th main event start. Awesome. I don't expect him to be much of a threat for any wins or anything this year, clearly, but it's cool to see him out there, and every time he takes to the track, he's setting a record, which is awesome. Always been a huge Chad fan, and I'm happy to see him kind of going out on his own terms. On the not-so-great list in the 450s, I'd have to say JGR's finish. Man, they got last and second to last, which is just continues the long line of problems for poor JGR. I feel so terrible for them. Other than when they first hired Stu and won a few races, they have been nothing but getting punched in the nuts for a decade. And with Savatgy getting hurt and the lack of support from Suzuki, this is going to be a tough year. I mean, if they're going to get those kind of finishes... They're not going to be getting that title sponsor they need, I'm afraid. It's very concerning going forward. I sure as hell hope we have a JGR next year, and I hope they have a better couple of races here going forward. Even in the 250 class, Alex Martin, a guy I think paid a fair amount of money when they signed him a couple years ago, he got a 10th, which is not what you want from a title contender. He looked pretty fast in his heat race, but it looked like that Suzuki was kicking him in the whoops a little bit. Maybe those short legs are hurting him. But in any case, not a great night for the guys in yellow for sure. In the 250 class, very exciting race. Congratulations to Justin Cooper on getting the win. I'm not sure what the hell was going on with Austin Faulkner. That was a bizarre bit of events there where he kind of cased that jump and then went backwards on the track for a second there and then cut the track. I mean, they could have DQ'd him for that, to be honest. If you want to be a stickler about it, you can't go backwards on a track. And he was coming right towards the camera, and I was like, what the hell is he doing? He's lucky he didn't get hit by somebody coming down that lane. It didn't look like he was even looking to see what was going on. So he could have been hit by somebody, and then he clearly cut the track. They docked him 2 positions for that, but he's lucky, as I said, he didn't get DQ'd for it. It was just a bonehead maneuver. I'm not sure what the hell he was thinking. I guess he just had a complete mental infarction when he made that mistake. I think Cooper was in his head all day. I mean, he messed with him in that heat race, and they had words afterwards. Kind of gave him a little love tap and put him down. That probably was maybe playing on his mind a little bit, because Cooper was definitely putting pressure on him. Good race for him. Good race for Justin Cooper. I think maybe was it last year or whatever, he was. I can't remember if he won a race last year or not. I know he was certainly a threat outdoors, but I don't think he was, by any means the fastest guy indoors on that YZ 250. But it looks like he might be this year. Might be able to give Ferrandis a run for his money. And holding off Dylan was an impressive display, in my opinion. A couple little side things. Bummed out for Aaron Plessinger. Even though Yamaha won the night with Barcia, bummed out to see him crash in that heat race and hurt his ankle again. I hope he's okay going forward and doesn't sideline him for a while or cause a lingering thing, even if he can race, if he doesn't get good finishes. But overall, I think it was a really exciting night of racing. I loved it. Like I said, I always love A1. Any Supercross race is a pretty good race to watch, but this one was always better because you're just completely not sure what's going to happen. And I think it lived up to the hype a little bit by giving us a very interesting and, at least to me, unexpected outcome. I look forward to seeing what happens next week in St. Louis. It'll be interesting to see if the typical front runners are back up front, or if we continue to see some young guys or even some revitalized older guys like Barcia putting up front. So anyway, let me know what you think of the event. I hope you all enjoyed Anaheim 1, and we'll talk next week. Peace.